This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Revival of America podcast. This is Jenny. I'm the owner and the host of the Revival of America. Today, everybody, we have Alpha Warrior in the house from the Alpha Warrior Show over there on X and Rumble, and I think he's on YouTube as well. But I want to say hello to Rumble. We are streaming live through Rumble, and we are streaming live not only through X Spaces right here, but also X Spaces live over there. So the difference between that right here on X, if you're on my X Space right now, you guys can request a mic and you can ask a question to Alpha or myself throughout the podcast. And if you're over there on Rumble and you're over on the X live feed, you can write your question in the comment box underneath where it says comment. So please, everybody, if you'd like to request a mic here on Xbase, you're more than welcome to. We'll bring you up to on stage and you can ask Alpha your question. Or if you can't and you're in the X Live or you're in the Rumble, please write your question in the comments and I will read them to Alpha at some point in this podcast. Also, to everybody, please be careful who you listen to, who you follow, what you're putting into your mind. It is wild out there. These chat rooms, these comment boxes, these podcasts, they are getting wild. It is the Wild West out there, everybody. We are seeing people going at each other. It's and a lot of these, fakesters, fraudsters are going by the wayside. And don't be surprised, everybody, if you start seeing a lot of accounts go bye-bye because they're being found out for the truth of who they really are. Because what many of us have been saying, you guys, from what we're seeing with Fauci and this whole this gentleman testifying, I believe it was yesterday in front of Congress. It was basically saying that Fauci knew what he was doing. It's all by design, everybody. So all these people that are crying wolf, this is never happening, all this kind of stuff, they're sitting back there eating crow. So many of us have been preaching this stuff for a long time, that there's going to come a day where Fauci's going to pay the price and all these other people. So don't think for a minute, guys, that a lot of this stuff that many of us have been putting out there for myself, I've been in this movement for about 10 years, however long you guys have been in it, but things are happening. So get excited and stay out of the noise, everybody. There is more positive than there is negative. This trip over to China that Trump is doing with Xi, it is absolutely epic, and I hope you're paying attention to it. And I'm going to have Alpha chime in on it a little bit as well. So get excited, guys. Great things are coming. So also too, if you come into the podcast late, everybody, we are being listened to, and now in over 100 countries. It is actually 150 countries. So we are making a lot of great noise. My guests, myself, you as the participants asking the questions. So I want to say thank you to all of you, because if it wasn't for you, the audience and my guests, and of course myself coming on here, after my day gig, this Revival of America wouldn't be. So I want to say thank you. We're not going anywhere. We're just going to continue to bring you more, as many of us say, sauce. But along with that sauce, you're going to get the truth. So I want to say thank you very much for your continued participation and listening, and whatever it is. I am gratefully appreciative of all of you. So also too, so if you want to listen to the replay, you can follow the podcast hosts, or either on the podcast host or the social medias, which are iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, Apple, Google, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Podbean, Riverside, Amazon Music. Social medias are Jenny Dreed Facebook, at Jenny_Dreed X, at J Dreed Rumble, at J Dreed True Social, at J Dreed Instagram, the Revival of America on Telegram, and the Revival of America over on YouTube. And then everybody, if you have a question for me, or you want to get in touch with John Baxter and his staff, or just whatever it is, please email me at therevivalofamerica@yahoo.com. I'm getting so many messages. I'm just trying to centralize everything, guys, because I'm that busy with the podcast. I'm that busy with my day gig, and I'm just trying to keep it simple for myself. So please email me there at therevivalofamerica@yahoo.com. If you have a story, a journey that you would like your voice to be heard, please send me a synopsis of your story. I do vet these stories, everybody, because guess what? As these frauds are out there, and these trolls, these scammers, they're trying to give me some kind of bullshit story just to get on a podcast. So got to be careful, unfortunately, in that regard as well. It's really sad, but unfortunately, they're out there. So I do vet them. If I do believe it's a legitimate story, I will reach out to you via email. We'll get your voice. We'll get you scheduled, get your voice and your story heard on the podcast. And remember, everybody, it's your voice, your journey that's going to help shape this new world that we're coming into. So without further ado, as SG always says, I want to welcome my co-host and my good friend, Alpha Warrior, to the stage. What's up, my friend?
How's it going? It is Thursday. We're one
Oh
day
my
away.
gosh.
We're,
Is it
we're
really? God, I
it,
can't even keep up with the days.
it is. And well, I always hesitate because my brain's like, "Is it?" Before you say it, and it is. It is Thursday. We're one day away from Friday, so I know everybody's anticipating that weekend to take that sigh of relief from our normal jobs. But I just want to remind everybody we still have another job, and that's fighting for this country. It is good to be here, and thanks for having me, Jenny.
Oh, of course, Alpha. And for those of you that don't know, Alpha is going to be gracing us a little more often. We have talked, and you probably heard on the last show that he's going to, as his schedule permits, and you can see a little bit because he's got kiddos and life happens. We have to reschedule things at times, right? So we've rescheduled today's show. I think we were scheduled to do it Tuesday, but he had a little one that was sick. So just bear with us, guys, because we do have our lives first and foremost is priority, and we come and do this in our free time. I know I do. I know I get caught up at work sometimes, and I have to be that one on that other end to reschedule myself. So bear with us, guys. But we're going to be here. We're not going anywhere. Just if we ever have to reschedule, just look for those rescheduling dates because it will happen. But Alpha is going to be here with us every other Thursday. Again, like I said, as his schedule permits. So I'm super stoked about that. And I know many of you guys are as well because I've received a lot of messages from you saying that you're really glad to see that he's going to come on a little bit more. He is a voice to be reckoned with, that is for sure, as are many of my guests. And I'm just really excited for him to be here. So, Alpha, as I always say, and you know, and you say it often as well, stay out of the noise, right? Stay into the positive. I'm super excited. I'm watching all this stuff transpire over in China, and I can't help but smile. I mean, yes, this is what I voted for. I mean, this is absolutely epic. Just the motorcade in itself and how he landed in China. He's just telling everybody who the boss is. Like, if people don't see that, I mean, Dan Scavino has been posting like crazy regarding this, and just so many of the posts that we're seeing are just amazing. I would love your thoughts on all this.
It is. And I think one of the awesome things is to remember it's been about, I think, almost 10 years since Trump's been back to China. I think it's like 9 or 10 years. So it's definitely a big deal. Um, yes, the motorcade that showed up, the red carpet that was there. And I mean, come on, they played the national anthem. But more important than all that was probably a little variable that people probably didn't notice. And was that they brought the actual stairs to the main doors of Air Force One. And why does that matter? Because the last time Obama was there, they didn't bring the stairs over to Air Force One, which is why Obama had to exit out the ass of Air Force One. Just to show you the level of respect that they have between these two. The other thing that I found that was pretty interesting, and I think it says a lot symbolically, is Trump doesn't drink alcohol. For those of you that maybe are unaware of that little fact.
Yeah, did you see him pass that glass of wine off as once he was done with the cheers, the
Yes,
toast? Yep,
he did the toast
yep.
for Chi out of respect. Took a little sip and then handed it right off. And that's a big deal, because trust me, Chi knows everything about Trump. He knows he doesn't drink. So showing that he was willing to go through, that ceremony, I think that was something. The other thing that I thought was very important was something that Chi said. And he says, "We're better off as partners than adversaries."
Yep.
And that's a huge statement that's being said between the two of them. There's a lot of symbolism that probably people didn't put weight to. If you saw there in the table, in between the tables, was like that grass that they rolled out, and it was a bunch of pink flowers.
Yeah, I
And
did notice that.
yeah, and the pink flowers, aside from the romantic symbolic, it's also a gesture of admiration. And it went both ways because it was between them. So that was important. But the thing is that comment that he made about we're better off working together than as adversaries, I think that signals loudly towards the sovereign alliance, which quite a few of us have adopted. And again, because I know people get confused, well, Alpha, but you're always trashing on the CCP. Yes, because I see a big distinction between Chi and the CCP. I see the CCP as China's deep state, just like we have the deep state here in this country. And so I think there is a lot of deals and connections that are being made. You have a lot of CEOs that were taken over there, Elon Musk included, but I wouldn't really tap Elon Musk into this perspective that I had. But why? Why take the CEOs over there when these were the ones that were most affected by the tariffs, right?
Yep.
And I think that was a way of Chi and Trump telling these huge CEO and tech mongols that we own you. You
I
don't
love
work for
it.
you do not work for the deep state. You saw what we did to you through tariffs. You're going to get it from one side or the other, but we can destroy you through the relationship we have. And so I think you're going to see some deals that come back that are going to be prosperous on both sides. Rumors are, and some people have confirmed it. I haven't been able to see the formal confirmation yet, but I think it will come out successful as China is going to have a large investment into the US. I think that's going to be very significant. You're going to have the manufacturing that China's going to put on this side. I think that's very significant because that's going to put jobs back on our side. It's going to take away from the sweatshops that do happen in China by their CCP, the family mafias that they have out there. So I think all in all, it was a pretty big deal. And if this statement is true, and I just want to say, I haven't been able to confirm it. Some credible people have put it out, is that one of the things that she said is with regards to Iran, that Iran needs to give Trump whatever he wants. If that turns out to be a factual statement, this is a big deal. And so we'll see. Yeah, I don't know if you want to ask me some questions specifically about any of that stuff, Jenny, before I go on.
Well, no, I'm in 100% agreement with you. When I saw who he took over there, these CEOs and everything, if you know anything and done any research about these guys, that Tim Cook, I think he recently stepped down or whatever. But we all know that there's some nefariousness behind them. So remember, everybody, like, Trump's making deals, guys. He's making deals with these people. Remember, he caught them all. He has it all. It's a thing. And when I saw that, I just laughed, and I'm like, he is parading them around, showing them who is boss. And that motorcade and the way he came in at the tarmac and the airport with his airplane, I mean, you guys, he's really, it shows you who is in control, right? So anybody telling you differently, ignore that, because it's not true. I mean, it's in our faces so boldly that you can't deny what we are seeing. So I just want to tell everybody, please get excited, because not only is this happening with Trump and Xi, and many of us doing this research for a long time, we've known behind the scenes, and the research shows that these guys are working together behind the scenes, as is Trump with many others. But just have some solace and what's going on, because we truly are winning. And what we saw with Camilla and Charles a couple weeks ago, Trump basically told us we are done. It's over. We won. He's taking us back to sovereign. So just get excited, guys. There's a lot of division out there, and that's on purpose. But stay out of that noise. Stick with the people that are giving you the great information that resonates with you, and stay out of the noise, because I mean, what we're watching is absolutely monumental and just epic. So I love your take on that, because I'm right there with you. And I forgot to ask you, Alpha. I apologize. What is your time frame today?
Just under an hour.
Okay.
So right before we get to 5 will be a hard stop.
Okay.
Just so we know. But here's well, I'll let you keep going, and then I'll add to it, because I saved the best part of the China thing that I see for after the opening. So you let me know if you're ready for that.
Oh yeah, no, go ahead, because I want you to say what you want to say, and then we're just going to go immediately into questions for anybody that has questions for Alpha. And I hope you guys have questions, because this is epic. I'm super stoked. So go ahead, Alpha.
Okay, so yesterday morning, my time, 9:58 a.m., which turns out to 12:58 Eastern time, the White House put out a video, 31-second video, and in that video, it's exactly what me and Jenny were talking about: the arrival of Trump coming down the stairs, the band playing, all that good stuff. They posted that at 12:58 Eastern time, okay? And this was the single line of text that they had with the video. It read, "The arrival everyone has waited for." So remember, it's Trump getting out of Air Force One with his crew, right? It looks like the scene from Hangover, right? All the boys are walking down, right? And you got the band playing, and they're walking down the red carpet. So hopefully, I painted that visual for you guys. And the Air
And
Force
Trump was
One
walking like a boss. Did you
walking like a
see that?
boss. Air Force One's behind them. They're walking down the red carpet. The band's playing, and the White House posts the arrival everyone has waited for. So now let's bring our attention to the cue boards. And if you're at a computer, you want to look this up with me, look up post 1258, 1258. It's dated April 24th. And this is what it reads. Should we tell all the good people watching the day and time? Red carpet rollout. Think logically. The world is watching. Now let's go back. What's in this video? The red carpet rollout. What did the White House put in text? The arrival everyone has waited for. What does the board say? The world is watching. If at this point You want to say that Q and 17 is a grift and you don't trust it? Be retarded. You have the right to be retarded. But this is literally the White House and the boards to the exact minute to that delta with the exact messaging and the exact video to show this is absolutely impossible to be a coincidence.
So, and I, yeah, no, I am seeing all of this come together. I mean, it's so coming together so beautifully. I just, I have a smile on my face every day. So I'm super stoked about it. And just seeing this, just even is more cherries on the top of what we are watching. So everybody get excited because good things are happening. They really are. Yes, do we have to go through some challenges? Of course we do, because we are at war. But just stay at peace, everybody, because it's amazing. And pay attention to Trump, everybody. If you're confused who to follow Donald Trump. He's over there on X. Okay, so let's go into some questions, guys.
Well, hold on,
Go
Jenny,
ahead.
because wait, there's more.
Oh, well, shit, go ahead.
Remember, it's a 31-second video. So when we go to post 31, you can fit some context here. Not as powerful as what I just went through, but you can still definitely fix some context. Post 31 is dated November 1st of 2017. And it says, world stalemate. And I think that's significant. And why? Again, this goes back to the statement by Chi. We should be partners as opposed to rivals. And again, they have the green grass world between them, and then the pink flowers. And I don't know why, but that kind of gave me the North Korea vibes when Trump stepped across the line with Little Rocket Man to show that move. This kind of had that type of symbolism to me. But again, remember, Chi is making the statement of, we're better as partners than rivals. And this is the meeting of two powerful nations, two of the three powerful nations. And this post literally starts off with world stalemate. But then it goes on and it says, we all have the goods on everyone else. That's part of the reason why some things that tie back to foreign heads of state will remain classified. Not all. We are in one of the most critical times of our country. Trump and others are working to balance that we're doing well for America, for the common person to endorse, while at the same time purify our government and remove the bad actors who are also entrenched. There's so much string pulling and blackmail that we need to cut these off and truly gain power granted to us by the trade patriots and the hardworking people of this great country. And like I said, you can kind of make that fit a couple of things that have happened in the last 48 hours. You can look at it as Trump was flying over to China, what was hitting the airways here, mainstream media and alt media. The China spy was being talked about from here in Southern California, the mayor that pled guilty. You have John Solomon talking about China being tied into the 2020 election. The White House, Rapid 47, I think, or the White House, one of them reposted that as well while they're flying out to China. So you had these remarks with Xi that substantiate a sovereign alliance, while at the same time, Trump firing off on their way over there to say, hey, we're aware of what's going to the CCP and their deep state. And then the other thing that I thought was pretty cool, and I haven't been able to confirm it, but I'll share it with you guys anyways, was that allegedly, Marco Rubio was not invited to by China, was not welcome to come and be a part of it, and that calls were made, and Trump was just like, well, he's on the plane with us and he's coming. If that's true or not, I don't know, but it is some more sauce to put in there. So that's kind of the China package that I have for you, Jenny.
I love it. I didn't hear that about Marco Rubio, but also too, everybody, another statement that she made was Donald Trump is making America great again. So great times. What a time to be alive, guys. All right, so let's go into questions because I know I was short on time. So Susan, I see you have your hand up, and then Ashes of Angels, I see requested a mic. So if you have a question for Alpha, go ahead after Susan. Go ahead, Susan.
Thanks, Jen. Hi, Alpha. I don't know if you listened to Chief's speech through the interpreter, but the interpreter said the world is watching, believe it or not. I listened to it twice. So I was amazed, and then I went back and looked at that delta, and I'm like, holy shit.
Awesome,
He
right?
Yeah, it's just like wow. And my other question is this: why? I understand why he brought all the CEOs over there. Yeah, like it's time for you. We've been having all your stuff coming over here. Now we're gonna have our stuff go over there, because under the Clinton administration, you guys remember when we started making? Actually, started with Nixon, but we got swamped in the '90s, and our middle class got swamped. So my question is, why is the CCP working against their leader?
It's the same thing that we have here with the entrenched deep state we have here. There is a push to have a one world government. And when you zoom out and you look at this picture, there's no difference between NATO, Muslim Brotherhood, the CCP, the shadow government of the United States. They were meant to look at them as separate entities that are all vying for power, but all they're doing is they're doing the theatrics of conflict, because at the very top, it's the deep state one world government that's using this to kind of herd us all into that exact thing: one world government, one world religion, one world health organization, all that. And so what you see through the Sovereign Alliance, and I think Putin's the one that's the most far ahead at getting rid of the deep state in his country. You have this battle between Xi and the CCP, and there's some interesting dynamics here. And this goes back to Steve Bannon and Miles Gao. Miles Gao is one of those multi-billionaires out of China that came over here to expose that, and the FBI under Biden arrested him. Now it looks like there's charges that are going to continue through Trump's administration. Nothing's changed so far from that, but that's a very significant player, especially if you're someone that hasn't wrote off Steve Bannon yet, and you look at Steve Bannon as someone who has infiltrated, the dark side of it. So, to answer the question why they, if you go back, and I don't remember the year, I have to look it back up, but there was a period of time where nobody had seen Chi. Media was talking about it, nobody had seen him, and then all of a sudden they go to have one of their China committee meetings, and everybody's there, and all of a sudden Chi shows up. And he shows up and he has two of his military officers go over there and remove one of the generals.
I
The
remember that.
understand
Yep.
the understanding here is they thought that they had got rid of him, but he didn't. He walked them into a trap, and he came and removed part of the coup, the CCP's deep state that was taking place. And there was a red folder that came into play during that scenario too. So, that's what's going on here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. I want to welcome Dr. James to the stage, as well as Patriot Storm. What's up, guys? What's up?
Oh, hey, I just wanted to say, yeah, that thing you just described, Alpha, about the meeting, she showed up. He arrested two generals at that meeting. He took the big one, but another guy was brought out with him in that meeting. They were talking about that. And then, uh, what was it, about 3 months ago, maybe 2 months ago? Didn't he get rid of like 11 high level generals from the Red Army? Pretty sure that happened. Um, like I know it did. I'm just uncertain if it was exactly 11. I think it was 11.
I'd have to look it up. I would just be guessing.
And one thing I want to make clear, and not that you guys don't know it here, many of you probably do, but some of you may not, to Susan in regards to about why is his own people, Chi's own people going against him. We have to remember that every country has their own CCP or CCP, deep state, and the CCP is the deep state of China. So that's probably what you're referring to in the sense of his people. I'm assuming, is that what you're talking about, or are you talking about just the people of China?
Well, I'm more concerned with the fact that I don't know whether it was Chi or the CCP. Do you remember when the borders were open and supposedly 80,000 military aged Chinese men came into the country and we can't find them? Do you guys remember that?
Here on our borders?
Yes.
Didn't they
Yeah, yes.
supposedly come in through Maine? Wasn't that some of them? There were some tunnels that came in through Maine. There may have been some stuff,
Well, Steve
Montana,
Bannon was
Washington
talking
State.
about it today, and what I forget the gentleman that he was interviewing, but the gentleman said, we need to find these 80,000 Chinese military age men. Why they're here, they don't know, but they just disappeared. So I'm just a little concerned about that, but I guess everything would just have to play. Maybe they're on our side. I don't know. Maybe they'll be the ones that go out in the streets and when all hell breaks loose, they'll be the police. I don't know.
Well, I do believe, and I say all the time to my audience, that Donald Trump is a thousand steps ahead of everybody, right? I do believe that what we are seeing with a lot of stuff, and for those out there that are saying, oh, Donald Trump's going to cause a World War III, well, guess what? It's been thwarted. There's no World War III. I mean, what we're seeing over here in China and what happened with the king and the queen used to be, well, not really, just by, out in the public, right? But the fake royals, right? Uh, Donald Trump is telling us it's done. We won. So, but I do believe Donald Trump is neutralizing a lot of these threats that we have been talking about, been made aware of, such as the sleeper cells, the alien invasion, the Iran situation, the Venezuela situation. So, ICE with all these people coming through. So I do believe that Donald Trump is getting in front of a lot of this stuff, just like he did last week with these UFO files being released. Because remember, everybody, these people are done. They know they're done. They don't have any more cards left. So they're gonna try. They're gonna go out with and throw the kitchen sink at us. So they're gonna try everything they can. But I do believe Donald Trump is getting ahead of a lot of the stuff and neutralizing a lot of it. What are your
And
thoughts, Alpha?
yeah, just answer your question, Dr. James, because I was like, I wanted to look up to get the number right. So last week she purged 9 generals and 100 officers.
That's
Wow.
huge. So that's another. I hadn't heard of that purge, but okay, that's pretty good. He's running through it. This is good. He took out his number one political opponent maybe a year or two ago, also at a meeting. The strongest guy of the old school party. So this is these are all good signs. He seems like the Trump of
It
China,
it
you know?
it supports that you have a sovereign alliance that is fighting the deep state that has entrenched itself in the three world superpowers. And that's the big deal. And again, I think you saw the remnants of it in Russia prior to Trump coming into this administration. I think they secured it first. But you obviously you see the battle that Trump has here at home, and you see the battle that she's doing, and the fact that he, I mean, it's a lot of generals and a hell of a lot of officers. I mean, that's a significant purge.
That's huge. I also think too, here in the coming days, weeks, everybody, the 2020 election is going to pop. We're hearing, Donald Trump, he's posting a lot about that over on True Social. He's talking about, the arrests and everything. So, and we have cash out there, arrests are coming. And I do believe that we are going to start seeing them, and it's going to, I've always said it's from the lowest to the low to the highest to high. If you've partaken in any of this nefarious stuff, I don't care if you're a superintendent of school, or you're a doctor, a nurse, a lawyer, whatever. If you're a part of this, they're coming for you. Your time's up. And I do believe that we are going to start seeing these arrests coming up to the 4th of July and in through the year. Who knows how long they'll last? Because there's a lot of arrests to be happen, guys. But that doesn't mean we're going to get to see them all, right? Because remember, each one of those
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
indictments contains up to 99 people. So I think what we'll see is the main ones that everybody wants to see, and some of the lower level ones, such as your mayors, your superintendents of the schools, and the local ones, right? Because they're just as guilty as any other that have been part of this. What are your thoughts on that, Alpha? And free Tina Peters. Anyway, are you there, Alpha? Hello, hello, Bueller. Did we lose you? All right, guys. I don't know. Maybe he dropped. But anybody here, if you have a question for Alpha, feel free to raise your hand. I will unmute your mic and you can ask Alpha your question. Otherwise, if you're over here on Rumble or X Live, we're streaming live through both of you guys over there. Write your comments, or excuse me, your questions in the comment box, and I will read the question to Alpha if you have a question for him. So here he's back. All right, Alpha. The mic is yours, my friend. Huh. I show him as listener. Peter, there you are. Go ahead, Alpha.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, did you hear anything I said?
I caught the first part of it. If you can give me the last part of it again, because I lost you and then had trouble getting back in.
Well, I was just saying about the 2020 election, how I do believe, in my opinion, here in the next days, weeks coming, with everything that we're seeing with this China visit for Trump and what Trump is truthing over there regarding the arrests and 2020 election. I do believe that we're going to start seeing this come out more and more. I do think it's going to explode. And, with Mark Taylor and everything he's doing with the mortgage fraud, and then we've got Ronald Savin, talking to me, all of us, probably you included, on the backside about these school bonds. This stuff is gonna pop off, and it's gonna hit locally from your local, individuals. And I'm just basically saying, their time's up.
This is one of the most important conversations because this is the stuff that we're potentially going to see in our immediate future that's going to create, quote unquote, you know,
Chaos.
yeah, cataclysmic event, right? And why is all this coming to a choke point? And for those of you that have kind of been following my show or the shows that I do with Josh, you've kind of heard me talk about this. The court of public opinion. You guys hear the information coming out about John Thune. He's come up with every excuse of why not to bring the Save America Act to the Senate. It's important. Now, again, it's not a have all, save all, but it's a major impact to elections and securing them. I've operated from the position for quite some time now that Trump knows that they're not going to pass it. He knows that. That's why he's got to keep pushing. He's got to keep talking about it. He's got to sell to the American people how significant it is. And how does he do that? By all this information starting to surface about the 2020 election, whether it's you hear it through the whistleblowers on Venezuela, whether it's what you hear coming out of China, what John Solomon's reporting on China, what Cash has talked about, what's going on in China, the Chinese, spy mayor again in Arcadia here in Southern California. All this stuff has to become mainstream for the court of public opinion so that everybody, and that it's bipartisan, not just Republicans, but Democrats as well, that it's bipartisan, that our elections have been corrupted beyond measure and we need to institute change. Now, we see some great things happening with the votes against the gerrymandering, and people are seeing how significant the impact that that's going to have. And I feel like that was a contingency. Now, to bring it back to with China and how does this play out? I'm operating still from a position. I haven't shifted from it yet. I maybe I will in the future, but as of now, I haven't. That the SAVE Act is not going to pass. It's going to become front and center. It's going to have all eyes on it. It's going to be center stage, and they're not going to pass it. And when that happens, people are going to create, panic. The panicans are going to come out. See, there's no way to win the midterms and all this other stuff, and that's okay because this is what's going to get into a very controversial time in our country to where President Trump is going to do things that he has the constitutional authority to do, but because people don't understand the Constitution, because stuff's going to be taken out of context, they're going to try to make him look like a tyrannical guy or a quote unquote king. And what we're talking about is posse comitatus. We're talking about martial law. And I'm not talking about it in the forms of the way you see in the movies, because Trump just can't come out and declare a suspension of posse comitatus and, oh, we're going martial law. It doesn't work that way. And this is why when everybody was screaming that you're going to see martial law in Minnesota, I kept saying you're not. And the reason why is not because I had any insight. It's just because legally he couldn't. Two things have to exist for Trump to be able to deploy martial law under federal authority, not the state, but the federal. The court system has to be, and this is very subjective, but the court system has to be in a situation where it can't operate. Again, a very subjective term. The other part, and this isn't subjective, is that local law enforcement or the National Guard under state authority can no longer control what's going on in that environment. whether it's, chaos, whether it's violence, whether it's a combination of all that. Both those things have to exist. Now, what we saw in Minnesota was we did see chaos and rioting, but we saw that the courts were still functioning because ICE was even taking people to court. So you didn't have that second variable. Now, here's where I think how it's going to look. I don't think you're going to see riots at the court. What I think you're going to see is that that Trump's administration, the DOJ, is going to be able to show that there's so much compromise and fraud that's taking place in the court that the courts can't, and this could be a wide range, or he can declare it, nationally. I don't know how that specifically looks, but when he shows, look at how much our courts are compromised, and this could be explained through George Soros money into judges and attorney generals, or plug in whatever NGO or entity that's out there. And so if he can sell that argument legally, and you have chaos that's happening at the same time, now he's able to declare martial law. But we're talking about declaring it for the purposes of nationalizing the elections to a single day, to where he comes out and says the military is, because all the ballots are compromised. We know the voter rolls are compromised. So he comes out and he says, as you come to vote, you're going to register with the military. And this is what's going to give us accurate voter rolls. You're going to provide two forms of government ID or legal ID, and that this is going to take place with the military. This is how I think the martial law is going to look. What supports that Trump is thinking outside the box, and again, he's got to have multiple contingencies, right? Because if I've thought about it, the bad guys have thought about it. What else has Trump done? Let's just say the SAVE Act does pass, and we say, okay, so he doesn't get to go the angle with the military. Well, the contingency for that, if the deep state says, okay, we're going to do the SAVE Act because we know for a fact we can't survive the military scenario on this. Well, what did Trump do? If you guys were listening to, I think it was Scott Bessent that came out and said this in a meeting probably about a month ago now, is he said, hey, if they want to use the Postal Service, which is federal, then this is the way it's going to look as far as the ballots going out. And it was a genius plan. I'm not going to try to regurgitate how they came about it, but it pretty much made it impossible for them to do fraud with fraudulent ballots using the Postal Service to do it. Now, why did that come out, like I said, just about a month ago? Because they didn't want to leave the deep state time to come up with another deployment strategy to get all those fraudulent ballots out there. So there's that contingency. So what I'm saying all this for is you have China that's going to prove that fraud exists. You have active scenarios that Trump has talked about publicly that shows that there's contingencies for how this is going to work, whether it was through the Postal Service, whether it was taking back, the Supreme Court to make gerrymandering illegally so we can actually get true representation, or whether this is to bring the SAVE Act and it doesn't pass in front of all of America and Trump can now move to the military is the only way scenario. All that comes to a choke point that's going to happen as we get into a very hot summer going into elections. Like that is what's coming down the pipeline. And so what I would tell everybody is if you want to gauge what direction it's going, start monitoring everything elections and every single state. I know because we've won and Trump's the president, people have kind of abandoned that conversation because they're so focused on things like Epstein, and it's important, we need to talk about it, but it can't be the sole focus, right? Or they're focusing on just what's going on in the Middle East or what's going on with this energy war. It's all important, but the thing that's going to affect us individually the most is these midterm elections. And so I would invite everybody, um, pay attention to it. I have a bias towards a couple of people like CanCon and Ash in America, who do a Why We Vote. I don't agree with a lot of their positions on when it comes to certain things, but they have documented the fraud and they continue to document the fraud far better than anybody that I've seen that's out there. And so I would tell people definitely follow those guys and the work that they do if you want to be ahead on what's going on with elections.
Thank you, Alpha. That was awesome. All right, everybody. If you guys have questions here for Alpha, feel free to raise your hand. I did see one hand, Rudy. He disappeared. So, and over on Rumble and X Live, if you guys have questions, feel free to raise your hands and I'll read your question to Alpha. So, Alpha, in your opinion, I mean, obviously nobody really truly knows because I know a lot of people are sitting on pins and needles with just, whether it be with the midterms and just things kind of the noise, right? What do you foresee in your opinion, happening maybe here in the next weeks, months, up until the November 3rd election?
Sorry about that.
You're fired.
State that last part one more time. I had a distraction, and I apologize about that.
No, in your opinion, obviously it's your opinion, because we know a lot of people are, there's a lot of noise out there, a lot of stuff going on being said, and I get it. It's hard for some people sometimes to focus on the great things when there's so much of the negative being put out there. But between now and our elections, or maybe even the 4th of July on up to the elections, what do you foresee happening here in the next coming days, weeks, months? In your opinion, obviously.
A lot of things. I mean, listen, you have Trump that's still been hinting about Cuba. Cuba's significant. Cuba's going to bring up the JFK conversations again. That's important. You see what's going on with the RICO cases. That's important. That RICO is what's going to remove a lot of people going into the midterms. And I know people are like, but we haven't seen anything yet. We have. You're just not following the right people that have painted that picture of what it looks like. But you have seen people indicted. What's the other stuff that's going on between now and then? We're all on our heels right now as everything is pointing towards the direction that we're going to see Fauci indicted. I think right now attorneys are looking at the angle that they're going to take this pardon argument. So you have Cuba that's on deck. We're still wrapping up what's going on in Iran by Trump bringing the stabilization to the Middle East. We see that the COVID's going to come up because what's the argument that's always been made a bit against Trump is he hasn't done anything about COVID. And if you pay attention to what's going on, Trump is attacking every argument that's been weaponized against him, but he hasn't pulled the final trigger on any of them. And why? Because it's all coming down to a choke point. And for those of you that served in the military or law enforcement, I'm talking about that fatal funnel. Think of a choke point as the fatal funnel for the deep state. And if you bring them all into this, they do not have the means. Mark Elias, that they don't have the ability as much money and as much people that they have, that they can't battle all of these things if they all get overwhelmed at once. And why do we know that strategy works? Because the deep state try to use that strategy against Trump with the elections, with J6, with the families in the church. Like, this is what they try to do in that 4-year window. And what you see Trump doing is he's putting the vice grip on them as we start to approach the summer. The other thing that I think we're going to see is you're going to see the deep state try to create uncontrolled chaos. And you're going to see a little bit of it because, again, if the SAVE Act doesn't pass, you're going to see, I can guarantee you're going to see them make the attempts to do chaos like BLM and Antifa. And it's not going to get out of control. It's going to be allowed to happen so much that Trump gets to sell the argument again of martial law, posse comitatus, of what kind of explained a little bit earlier. So, I mean, it's all of it. We're going to see all that coming into midterms. You're going to see indictments that are going to come in. The biggest one that I would tell everybody to look at between now and midterms is Comey. You guys know me and Josh kind of operate under the assumption right now that Comey is cooperating with the DOJ. What's one thing that I say with 200% certainty that it's going to convince me that we're absolutely right about that? If you use my case as an example, January 2021, FBI raids my home. A few days later, they arrest me, and that case doesn't come to its conclusion until almost 4 years to the date in January of 2025. Now, that was a single felony charge that was being weaponized against me with the FBI, but I was able to stretch that out. This was a strategic move between me and my attorney. I was able to stretch that out as close to the Trump administration going to jury trial as I wanted to. And why was that? I was just trying to create a scenario that gave me the best odds of, if I didn't get to win the trial, that I would at least be able to win the appeal. Anybody's capable of doing it. It just costs a shitload of money because these are motions and continuances. Comey has way more money than I was able to ever crowdfund. So income is not going to be an issue for Comey. So Comey has the means right now to drag this case that's been brought against him. He easily can draw this out to post 2028 when Trump's out of office, assuming Trump leaves office. That's another argument. But he can easily post his trial into another administration. I'll tell you, folks, very easy. So if we see Comey go to trial in the next 6 to 9 months, 8 months, That to me confirms he is absolutely working with the DOJ, because there is no net benefit for him to do that move, other than to paint this picture that, hey, I'm the victim of prosecution, so the deep state can't really come after him, and we start to see other people get indicted, like hopefully Brennan here in the next few weeks. And that's the other thing. If I had to bet my paycheck, we are going to see Brennan arrested before we get to midterms. And we're probably going to see Brennan arrested right before or right after the issue with the Save America Act resolves itself, whether it's because it passes or it doesn't pass. I think that is right around the exact time we're going to see the arrest or the indictment coming for Brennan.
I say, let's go. And okay, so you just spoke about real briefly, and my thoughts are with you on the whole election thing and what we will see in the future, if Trump will be there or not. I do believe, and I tell my audience often, that our government's going to be on 10% of what it is now, because he's gutting it, right? And we, the people, are the government. He's giving it back to us. So I foresee in the future that what we see and in our government, with the presidency, the vice presidency, and so on and so forth, it's dramatically going to change in a different way that we've probably not ever seen before here in this country. What are your thoughts?
I think we are. I think we're going to see it shrink. I think we're going to see a massive shrinkage in our government. I think that is going to be a big thing that we see differently. Also, there is a lot of conversations, and Doc's probably heard this in some of the back channels, of DC becoming to start to it's going to look decentralized, where it's not going to be people operating out of DC, but that you're going to have some of these groups and committees where it's a facility out of, like, Utah, or a facility out in Wyoming. It's it
Or Kansas City.
or, or Kansas City. There's a lot of conversation about our government going to get decentralized as far as location. So I think that's going to be a very different look. The other thing that's going to be the most impact is if we get to secure elections to where we're talking same day ballots, IDs, clean voter rolls, and minimal to no corruption. You're going to see what politicians look like, because it's going to be the ones Americans are actually voting in for. And you're going to see people that start to take office that are going to either remove laws, pass laws, or enforce laws that we've all actually wanted. You're going to see probably a flat tax that goes across our nation federal wise. And you're going to see that actually being utilized for things like our actual state parks and our border. Like, it sounds crazy to say, and a lot of people would push back on me and call it hopium. And I get it, but it's only hopium if the variables aren't there. And we're seeing the pieces being positioned to where we're actually going to probably be able to be like, our government is transparent. And so it's not about trusting the government, it's just that it's going to be transparent. And if it's transparent, well, then it's not an idea of trust, it's just an idea of verify. And if you can verify what it's doing, if you can verify for where the money's going, and I think crypto is going to play a large part in the way the government operates, you're going to kind of eviscerate corruption and fraud. And that's going to change not just the government, but it's going to change everything. That will have a real-time effect on our daily lives, because you're going to see fraudulent taxes that are being removed, that have been exploiting us. If you're here in California, you know what I'm talking about with the gas tax, the ammo tax. I mean, the only thing we're probably not taxed on is breathing yet. Like, you're going to see what a country looks like when people are allowed to prosper. The other thing that I would say is, when we get to, if the scenario I'm talking about is correct, and you see the military handling elections nationally, and you see who actually shows up to register to vote, we might not see voting that was 160 million Americans. We might see voting that's like 80, 90, 100 million Americans. And people are going to be like, well, did people just not show up to vote? And those are going to get answered as the fraud in other entities starts to get exposed, whether it be Medicaid, whether it be, the social services. I think what a lot of people are going to find out is they didn't just lie about the numbers of employees that exist in government. that they've been lying about the population of our country in general in order to continue to push fraud that match the numbers of the fraud that they were doing. And so if we actually see the real numbers of what our society looks like, then all of a sudden issues of scarcity and logistical crisis, those become gone. And then all of a sudden we start seeing that we actually do have things to provide for people. And then that changes the free market, because the free market is supply and demand.
Amen to that. All right, Alpha, I know you're getting short on time. So I have a question here for you from Rumble. And then I'm going to go to Dr. James and Patriot, see if they want to say anything before we close it out. All right, so Connelson, 2008, he's asking, is it worth running for local government, or is everything going to get taken down and a waste of time?
It is always, always worth running, because again, you don't want to be in a position where you're relying on others or the government to fix the problem. You want that to be in your hands, in your control. And if you run locally, that's how it's going to be. And listen, we're not going to go into an environment where government doesn't exist, even though a lot of people want to paint that picture. There's just evil doesn't go away until our creator comes back. And so you got to have a system, a republic that operates. So government is always going to exist. So if you run locally right now, what you're actually doing is I am, through my eyes, you're in the beta stage of what the new government's going to look like. You want to be there. You are going to have the biggest impact on what the American government is going to look like moving forward. So I would say if there was ever a time to run locally, that time is now.
I agree. Get local. We talk about it a lot. And Stellar down here, she's here in this space. She talks about that quite often. Many people do. So definitely get local, everybody. All right. I want to say hello to Patriot Storm. What's up, Patriot? How are you? He may not be able to talk. All right. So, Dr. James, do you want to say anything before we say goodbye to Mr. Alpha, whatever Carbons it calls you? What is it? Alpha Olstein Clinton? Did I say it right?
I'm not even going to tell you how to say it on this space. You'll
I was
have
hoping
to,
Alpha would chime in and correct me.
maybe Carmen can sign it to you or something.
I,
Yeah, I
I
wouldn't do that in this space. This was a great space. Thank you so much, Jenny. Alpha, it was great hearing you here. It's interesting with you being the one being interviewed. So that was awesome, man. Excellent. Thank you so much. It was good to see everybody too. Thank you, Jenny.
Of course. Thank you for being here. And Alpha's going to be here every other Thursday, depending, obviously, his schedule and my schedule. I'm really excited about that. So, Alpha, Patriot, I'm going to give you another shot. Can you speak? If you can, if you want to say something, go ahead. Your mic is unmuted. If not, Mr. Alpha, you want to give some final thoughts?
Yeah, the final thought that I would say to everybody is nothing changes if nothing changes. All right, that goes for your social media life. That goes for
Wait a minute, wait. You didn't give me a chance to get to microphone. I was trying
Run, Forrest, run.
I was trying to get the goddamn microphone and you didn't let me get to freaking microphone. Now, this is a very hi Jenny, Alpha, Dr. James, everybody.
Hello.
I'm doing my research on it as we speak right now. I'm literally doing my research as we speak, and y'all were talking about Xi Jinping and all that stuff, and I just wanted to point out the amount of respect that China had for the United States. First, let's give a round of applause to China for having that much respect for the United States of America, y'all. Yeah. All right. You guys, out of all the capitulations we've seen, China had the biggest. Like, did you see their motorcade? What the fuck?
Who's the boss?
I can't curse, huh, Jenny? I'm sorry.
No, you can.
Okay.
You're fine.
You would swear, Alpha and Jenny and Dr. James, that Donald Trump was their president. The respect level he got there. And it's not like hey, I'm about to bend over and let you stick it in respect. It's like they're both looking like kings, looking like the alliance. Like, I think we're starting to see who the alliance is, or I'm just saying, like the Putins, the Xi Jinpings, Trump, etc. And it's obvious now that the world knows that Trump is cool with Xi Jinping. So when he say China, who is he talking about? The CCP. How do you divide the CCP from Xi Jinping in front of everybody, right? And guess what else is at the forefront right now? The lab leak theory from China, right? Right? See? So now everybody's scratching their head like, wait a minute. The lab leak theory say it leaked from China, but it looks like Trump got a large amount of respect for Xi Jinping. So what happened with this? When Trump say China, what is he talking about, right? I'm just saying the amount of respect that was shown between Xi Jinping and, hold on. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Let me make sure the kid. Okay. Yeah. So the amount of respect that was given to our president and they played the national anthem, if I'm not mistaken. Their band played the national anthem, right? I mean, good grief. If you can't make it more clear, where we go one, where we go all is clear now. It's clear. And I got a longer take than that, but I'm doing a little research and I just wanted to say excellent show, Alpha and Jenny. I don't always get to make it to your stuff. But I saw y'all on this time, and I'm like, oh, let me go in there real quick and support Alpha and Jenny. So I came in here, and it was a great show. And for the most part, I heard mostly everything. Alpha, most of the shit you said, I didn't know. I'm gonna be real with you. I'm completely new to the CCP thing, but I am about to dig, and I will be doing spaces on it. Y'all know how I get now. But great show, you guys. Great conversation. Keep up the good work. And like I said, man, where we go, the messaging, my final message is where we go all is the messaging that I'm getting from this, the respect level. And just, I think a lot of people were surprised because a lot of people think that China is the enemy, but they were surprised at the respect level that we got. So with that, I'll land, Jenny. I have a lot more to say, but I got to do a lot of looking up before I start talking. I have a habit of jumping the gun and talking before I do my research. So let me just do my research and I have a lot more to say in my space. Thank you.
Oh, no, you did great. Thank you, Patriot. And Alpha will be on here every other Thursday, same time, same place as his schedule permits. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your words, Dr. James, you as well. And Mr. Alpha, I'll let you close this out, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to hear all you guys up here. So, but what I was saying is, nothing changes if nothing changes. If you guys look up in the nest, I posted an article that I wrote here on X. It's on Substack too. It's free, and it's called The Choice, and it's the path to mental sovereignty. We talk about getting our sovereignty as a nation, but people need to recognize that you need your sovereign. You need the sovereignty for your mind. And this article starts off with a quote: "Everything rises and falls on your perspective." And if you guys can understand what that quote means, it's going to be very hard for you to fall victim to propaganda, no matter how sophisticated that propaganda is. And so just understand, I invite you all to read it. I invite you guys to share it. If you want to clip it and post it on your content, I don't care. It's the message that's important with that specific article. But just we need to get in a position where we need to reawaken, is where I'm getting at with this. Everybody took the red pill, right? But if you saw the very last movie of The Matrix, what did they realize was that The Matrix was able to put them back in by modifying the world that they were in, that this new world, right? They had to break free from that one. And one of the things that I've seen happen is so many patriots took the red pill and became awake, but then they didn't leave the matrix. They just got to the next level. And what happened is that matrix started to adjust to the people that took the red pill. And a lot of people got stuck there. And so what I'm telling you guys is if you get your mental sovereignty, they can never imprison you or enslave you. If you can take control of your mental sovereignty, you become Neo. You start to see the ones and zeros on everything: religion, spirituality, geopolitics, local, state, government, international, domestic. Everything becomes absolute clarity to you. And when you can see the entire map with clarity, you have no stress, and you have no worry. And if you can operate from a place where you don't have stress and you don't have worry, your energy, your vibe, and your frequency starts to grow. It will impact those around you. You become contagious, and people will want what you have, and they will follow what you do. And that's the spiritual battle that we have to be battling right now as we battle this deep state on the surface and publicly. So I just want to remind you guys, nothing changes if nothing changes. If you're dealing with an issue of being overweight, if you're dealing with an issue of an addiction to something, if you're dealing with an issue that's in your family, your kids, your husband, your wife, your brother, your parents, if there's anything that's in your life right now and it's overwhelming, get off the X. The credit goes to Jocko, and he made this statement: if you find yourself in the forest and you're lost, just start walking. Because if you stay in the same spot, you're never going to find yourself. You're never going to find your way out. So, whatever issue that you're dealing with, just start making a movement, a small movement today. In the next couple days, you probably don't see anything. A couple weeks, you probably don't see anything. 9 months from now, 10 months from now, you start to see the growth in whatever issue it is that you're working on. And in 2 years, in 3 years, you start to recognize yourself as a person who's grown. And then in 10 years, you see that you actually were able to meet what you were designed, what your creator made you for. But none of that happens until you get off the X. So you guys get off the X.
Amen. Amen. And everybody, just hang in there. Great things are coming. Great things are happening. We are winning. And Alpha, thank you for being here. Great, great topics. Great conversation, like Patriot said. So I appreciate you being here. I appreciate all the work you're doing. Keep up the great work, my friend. And we'll see you back in 2 weeks. I mean, I'll see you in other spaces, obviously, but I'll see you back in 2 weeks here on my show.
Absolutely. Can't wait to be back.
All right, guys, bring your questions. Alpha's going to be here every other Thursday, same time, same place. And we'll talk to you soon, guys. Have a great weekend, and God bless you all. Thank you, Alpha.
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.